Galloping to war with Orion, his personal bodyguard bring a calamity to all who stand against them. Today, guys, we're here with the showdown between the Wood Elves, who shall be led by Mel Gibson, or Orion as he's actually called, and the dinosaurs, who are going to be led by a Velociraptor riding on top of a T-Rex. So things are about to get pretty wild. So as far as the armies go, up here in the front, we do have our army led by the glorious Mel Gibson. And he's actually not bad in the dinosaur matchup. He has really good armor piercing and a pretty juicy bonus for large. So you can see 512 weapons rank, and the bonus for large is going to be 15, so very substantial against Carnosaurs, Croxigors, Horn Ones, Cold Blood Knights. He definitely has a ton of utility here, and if you have to, he does have a pretty okay ranged attack. It's not the most accurate, but if they have like a Skink Priest up in the skies or some annoying Pterodon riders, you're going to be able to kind of poke those guys, or at least put some pressure on them. And on top of that, Orion does have the Cloak of Isha. This is something a lot of people don't know about. This item is very powerful, so when he gets below 20%, which happens pretty quick because he does have low armor and not the best melee defense, he gets a 44% damage resist, and he also starts to heal himself. So he can be a little bit of a distraction Carnifex in a way, in that your opponents can put a ton of resources into trying to take him out, and from there he simply just becomes super tanky and tough to kill. So yeah, we're going to be using him, and he's one of those characters, like I said, he really gets overshadowed because of how powerful the Glady is. So the Glady is the female Glade Lord available to the Wood Elves, who does have the Prey of Anathrama, and it's just so damn good that most of the time people are going to pick it because it's cheap. You can pin down enemy lords, focus them with Way Watchers, but I really think he's kind of an unsung hero of the Wood Elves. So we have a bit of a mobile force as well. We have two groups of Wild Riders, which will lose very badly against Horn Ones and Cold One Knights and things like that, but they're a little bit faster. They have 85 speed against the 78 of the Horn Ones here. Granted, my opponent, the Great Flying Taco, does actually have some pretty cool tricks using the Pan's Impenetrable Belt to give them that 25% speed, and if they can catch the Wild Riders, it's going to be pretty damn bad. But for the most part, I use the Wild Riders to go after Skinks, to ride down Skink Cohorts, to go after Saurus, and just give me some utility. And once I'm able to soften up the Horn Ones using some Eternal Guard and some Spears, I then don't mind countercharging. On top of that, we do have the Sisters of Thorn, which are a very good kind of a utility unit in this matchup. They do have the Shield of Thorns, which did get buffed a little bit, a little ways back to become a pretty good spell. It gives you 22% physical resist and 25% weapon damage. So a very, very good buff, and it's also free. You have 2 charges of it. Definitely solid. They also have the Curse of Onrare, which is going to be lowering melee attack and speed. So we're definitely going to be having to drop that on these very juiced up Horn Ones here, who now have 97 speed. That is insane. These things are just godless killing machines. Going to be charging in there with 97 speed and just those crazy combat stats. On top of that, I do have a combination of Eternal Guard and the War Dancers. War Dancers for damage output on the Saurus and Skinks, and the Eternal Guard to help with Croxigors and the bigger targets. And yeah, that's pretty much it. We got the Branch Wraith in the back with the Earthblood, Melkos, and Shield of Thorns, Mel Gibson, and 2 groups of Way Watchers, which are pretty much a staple. You need them to focus down the big cav and the big dinos and stuff like that. So for my opponent's force, Flying Taco does have the Skink Priest up in the skies, and he has a pretty cool kit, actually. He does have the Pan's Impenetrable Belt, and that's one of the things. I mean, heavy cav are just so damn good against Wood Elves because Wood Elves don't have the best AP on their cav units, so if you can force that fight, it's going to be very good for you. So they have the Pan's Pelt here for speed and physical resist. He does also have the Curse, which is going to be lowering melee attack and speed as well, so some good stuff. 3 groups of Horn Ones, so just going balls deep with these guys, and you can see right here, Taco is going to be going for a bit of a flank overload, so he's coming up around here. No pressure on this side of the battlefield, but he's really just going to be trying to smash my flank here, and this is something I've been seeing quite a bit from him and players like Felcon who really like to play the dinos. It seems that the flank overload is a very good tactic for them. He does have the Saurus Old Blood, so the Velociraptor riding on top of the T-Rex over here, and it's going to be pretty good. And also, his build is a bit of a threat overload. For example, Way Watchers normally would have no problem dealing with any 2 or 3 of these guys, but the fact that he has 3 Horn Ones, all high value targets, he has the Saurus Old Blood here, he has the Croxigors. There's a lot of big threats, and I don't know if I have enough anti-large to deal with that, or enough armor piercing, I should say. So we're going to see how it goes. Front line's going to be Skink Cohorts, Croxigors with their Spankin' Paddles to deal with Dryads, and the War Dancers, and even against Eternal Guard, they're pretty good if they are supported by Skinks. So I think it's time, guys. Let's get the show on the road. So over here, a little bit of a cat and mouse going on. He does pop the Pan's Impenetrable Belt, Pelt, whatever. You guys get what I'm saying. It does give him the nice speed buff, but I do respond using a Curse of my own, so I'm able to kind of neutralize the speed a little bit, and I do have some Eternal Guard and some War Dancers coming over to help out, but it looks like the Horn Ones are going to be nibbling at the heels of the Sisters of Thorn, but their poison really helping out quite a bit to slow down these angry dinosaurs. And on the other side of the battlefield, we get a very juicy charge. So since he did that very big flank overload, I came over with my Wild Riders, and I got the free value I could against these Skink Cohorts, and also the Way Watchers are doing some really good damage against these Croxigors. So things are going okay, but this is a very, very scary situation. In the front line, these Skinks are going to be engaging with my infantry, and the Croxigors coming in with their Spankin' Paddles as well. But I do have Eternal Guard here, so it's not really the end of the world. Just trying my best to get away with Wild Riders, using all the heals I possibly can, Mel Gibson's a little bit lost. I had him engaged with some of the croc scores, but I don't know what he's doing. I think he's like throwing some spears, but anyways, I'm sure he'll figure out where he is and come back to the battle in just a moment. So right here, I was kind of getting caught up a little bit, so I was like, okay, I'm going to concede the fact that these Wild Riders are going to get put in a trash can just to allow my Sisters of Thorn to escape, and I do also pop the Horn of the Wild Hunt, giving that charge bonus where I can. And over here, it's a pretty decent little situation. We're able to kite back with these Wild Riders, get some really good downtown crossfire with these Weight Watchers, pick apart those croc scores, and we definitely have a pretty pitched fight on our hands. In the front line, Eternal Guard doing very good. With Mel Gibson's help, he's able to tear out those skinks. And from here, we have a very good isolation of the croc scores, who are also getting melted by the very heavy missile fire. But still, this flank overload doing very good. War Dancers here getting just completely trounced by the croc scores. Eternal Guard are holding on, but Horn ones still have pretty crazy damage output. I think it's 60 weapon strength. So yeah, with that, Croxagores plus just a bunch of annoying skinks kind of shanking them, it's going to be a tough situation. So the big angry dino is going to be hunting down the Way Watchers, and now it's kind of devolved into a bit of a true kite game. So I'm having to fall back with these Sisters of Thorn, although I think I do actually lapse in my micro here a little bit, and they get caught for a moment, but I do get them away before they take like lethal damage. And it looks like the big angry dino is going to be going after the Way Watchers, who are getting some fire over here onto the pursuing cav units. And Mel Gibson is continuing to wreak havoc in the middle of the line. So Mel Gibson, with his bonus versus large, is going to be standing and fighting with the War Dancers and some Eternal Guard. And honestly, he should be able to do a really good job against these rampaging Horn ones who aren't going to be able to get away. They're just going to stand and fight. Mel Gibson is designed to kill such things. He's very, very powerful. Over here, using the Wild Riders to just clean up skinks and also support the Way Watchers. So these Way Watchers pretty much free firing here, which is very good. Shooting into the Horn ones, going after the Croxagores, cleaning up shop. And they're able to do so because they're not being pressured by skinks. And that's kind of the thing. I really like to use these kind of mobile cap units to protect these high-value archers, because the thing that counters these archers is going to be the skink cohorts and those annoying kind of swarming units. Now over here, things are getting a little bit messy. The Horn ones are actually rampaging now, so they're going to be chasing down these Sisters of Thorn, who are quite a bit faster, and now that most of the buffs of the beast magic he was using, he's not going to be able to catch me here because those buffs are off cooldown, or on cooldown, whatever. You guys get what I'm saying. Sisters of Thorn going to be kiting backwards. The Way Watchers here, unfortunately, are getting spanked pretty bad by these angry alligators, so Flying Taco doing a very good job pursuing these units. Yeah, a couple of these guys getting crushed, but they're pretty quick themselves, able to turn and run and shoot, and they might be able to survive this. But skinks themselves, I think, have like 48 speed, give or take, but they're poisoned, I think, somehow. I'm not sure what. Maybe some of the Sisters were poisoning them earlier. But the kiting going pretty well here. Sisters of Thorn are kind of pulling these guys back. Over here, we're able to get a little bit of separation from the Croxagores. And in the main fight, this is really kind of the main pitched epicenter of this battle. You can see Mel Gibson is going fisticuffs with the Source Old Blood, and he's doing a very good job. He's been taking a beating from Croxagores, and as a matter of fact, he actually terrifies those Croxagores for such good value. We also do have the Branch Wraith, who has the Call of the Wild, which is going to be giving melee attack to Mel Gibson and all the nearby Eternal Guard, so that battle actually went really well. So the Wild Riders coming in, cleaning up shop, able to chase quite a few of these guys off. A lot of these Croxagores, it looks like they're actually shattered, but that's just kind of the reflection of the map, I think. But Orion has done a very good job just chasing down the Source Old Blood, a very good dedicated anti-large tool. And on top of that, he does have the healing if he gets a little bit lower, but for the most part, the Branch Wraith has been keeping him topped off here. In the back, my Way Watchers unfortunately have been canned, and you can see with that, the bounce power actually going in the favor of Flying Taco and the dinosaurs here. The skink cohorts as well as the Croxagores are going to be chasing those guys down, so things getting a little bit messy over there. And the Horn ones in the back looks like they have stabilized for the most part. They stopped their rampaging at least, but they were definitely not able to catch these Sisters of Thorn, who now have the Horn of the Wild Hunt. So back in the main battle, we still have this clash of titans between Orion and the Source Old Blood, who does have the Amulet of Itzel, so very good timing there. And Orion is a pretty, high mass character, but even still, he can be knocked over. But it's a little bit tougher to knock him over. Look at him; he's just like pounding his fist, just like an absolute beast as he gets up. Orion's such a cool character. Anyways, Orion continuing to attack the Source Old Blood, getting some really good damage in there with the support of the Branch Wraith. Over here, we do have a battle between these Wild Riders, who unfortunately do get caught by 10 relatively healthy Croxagores. They have 2,500 HP, so these Wild Riders probably going to be going down here. But the Sisters of Thorn are now coming in to fight melee. We have some Way Watchers coming back in, and a very, very healthy group of Eternal Guard, which are going to be a huge saving grace here. They're going to initially be used to screen out these Croxagores, but I think I end up pulling them back to the battle, because things are just getting wild. I mean, this Source Old Blood does also have a bonus versus large and pretty similar combat stats. With the Horn of Kygor, he's going to be much stronger than Orion in terms of damage output, so a little bit of a scary situation. And suddenly you can see Flying Taco's forces are going to be piling in, so the Croxagores and all these different troops are going to be jumping into this battle here, and things are looking pretty damn messy. The Way Watchers thankfully are able to clean up some of the skinks here, which is going to give me some more bodies in this battle. I just need something to kind of tar pit these Croxagores to take some of the attacks off Mel Gibson. Now, the curse has gone down, the Curse of Onmer, which is going to be lowering Mel's melee attack to 52, which is still very powerful. And over here, the Sisters of Thorn doing a pretty good job kiting back. So I sent them over here as a bit of a distraction, because I saw the Horn ones coming back in. I was like, let's see if we can kind of pull those guys away. And look at that, a little bit of a bug there from the distance. But Nonetheless, I mean, Orion's getting very low, guys, and it's getting danger close, but this is where he really shines, because now that he's below 20%, I think it looks like he is, he's going to be healing himself perpetually, and on top of that, he's going to be getting that 44% damage resist. So as long as he doesn't get like nuked from 20% to 0 or 21%, he's going to be pretty damn tough to kill. So very good buff going in here from Flying Taco. He's going to be popping the Pan's Impenetrable Belt to buff up his troops as he does come in here, but Orion's just standing firm, and a very good Earthblood right there is going to be topping off the Eternal Guard. And this is a very mean Wood Elf Death Star, because the Branch Wraith, of course, gives melee attack to all nearby troops. We have a ton of anti-large with the Eternal Guard, who for a chaff unit have insanely good leadership. I think some of the Eternal Guard are in there. Yeah, they're actually over here on the flanks, and it looks like they were able to clean up the Croc scores, doing a pretty good number there. But Orion just an absolute beast, fighting against these Croc scores. And I mean, the Source Old Blood could potentially cycle charge him, but he has pretty good mass. Shield of Thorns going down, Horn of the Wild Hunt giving him a fat charge bonus of 105, so if he's able to get any charges, he's going to melt whatever he's fighting. You can see here the Skink Priest is going to be cycle charging in there as well, but it looks like the Wood Elves are going to be able to stabilize the situation. Orion, the Branch Wraith, and all these Way Watchers really holding pretty firm here, and you can see here the Source Old Blood is steady, but he's having a little bit of trouble as a group of Way Watchers actually comes back from the distance. Definitely making their bro Legolas pretty proud here, but they have a little bit of ammo, so that could potentially break the leadership of the big Dino, who's actually starting to normalize the bounce of power a little bit by getting Orion so low, but Orion does not go quietly into this good night. 643 HP, he's now healing up with the Cloak of Isha, and he's going to be a tough cookie to crack, and the Source Old Blood is going to be taken out by this demigod here, and it looks like the little skink's going to be dropping some rocks. But from here, it's going to be pretty tough for the dinosaurs to come back. Orion, yes, he's very low, but he's so damn tough to kill at that point. And when the Skink Priest comes down, he's able to do a pretty good job on that guy. So yeah, that's going to be it. Very well played to Flying Taco. He was mentioning that was a little bit of a tricky matchup for the dinosaurs, and I can definitely see how it is, just with the Way Watchers being so good against armor and the mobility and all the cheap anti-large tools and Eternal Guard. It's pretty good, but yeah, I do like the Wild Riders quite a bit. I mean, one of them did get caught and sacrificed to the old ones there, but the other one was able to ride pretty firm. At 200 kills, 80 and 61 on the Way Watchers, who did get pressured pretty hard, but they still were able to get a lot of value against the Croc scores and some of the big targets early. But come on, guys, let's be real. The true Patriot, the true hero of this matchup was actually Orion. 61 kills. Was quite a bit, right? But for the most time, most of the battle, he was actually just focusing down the Source Old Blood. And he was able to get huge damage with that bonus for his large. He tanked it like a boss and was able to pull out the victory. So yeah, good stuff there. So very well played to Flying Taco. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this one. And Flying Taco and I actually played a couple matchups. We played 3 in total. So you saw one the other day that I put up, I think it was like 2 or 3 days ago. You saw this one, and there was actually a third game. So we're going to be jumping over to take a look at that third game. So guys, stay tuned, and we'll see you in just a moment. And now we're back with game 2, which is going to feature a showdown between the High Elves, who shall be led by Teclis, the Bretonnians, who are going to be led by King Crazy Eyes. So on that note, let's jump right into this match and have some fun. So as far as the build goes, we're going to be trying something a little bit different than our usual build. So typically when I do play the High Elves against Bretonnians, I like to go with the front line of the White Lines, which I think are very good. They're solid against infantry. They give you extra AP against the Cav. Just really, MVPs in this matchup, in my opinion. But I like to get those guys, Phoenix Guard in the secondary line, and then mix in a couple monsters. Get like a Star Dragon, a Frostheart Phoenix, and get Alariel, and play that very Helm's Deep style of play with the massive amounts of healing. But this time we're going to be trying something different. White lines in the front line. Secondary line is going to be archers. Now the archers, I'm a little bit on the fence about them in this matchup, but they can tear apart peasants very quickly, foot squires, things like that. But I want to see, with the volume of fire and their pretty good range just for the cost, can function well against knights and some of the heavier targets. So in total, we have 3 archers, one group of the Sisters of Averlorn, who's going to be pretty good against a heavy cav. Grail Knights, of course, are known for their very good physical resist, and these guys do magic damage, so they bring a ton of utility to the battlefield. So Sisters of Averlorn in the back, a couple groups of spears. I think we have 3 in total, just kind of protecting our kind of squishy assets. We do also have 3 Eagle Claw Bolt Throwers, so this is something else I haven't really tried in this matchup. I have tried it with the Dark Elves using like Dread Spears and just trying to hold with that, but I haven't really tried it from the High Elf perspective in quite some time, so I want to see how effective these Eagle Claw Bolt Throwers are going to be against Bretonnia. My one concern being is that I don't have too much defense in my back line, but I'm hoping with Teclis using his nets and some of his other utility, I'm going to be able to kind of slow those knights down and get some very heavy damage. Over here on the flanks, we got 2 groups of Reavers, so the Reavers are going to be a bit of a distraction. I'm just going to be using them to kind of sweep around, try and occupy the attention of the knights, therefore buying me some time to shoot with the bolt throwers. And if he does have, squishy infantry or anything like that, I'm going to see how they can do getting into that metaphorical cookie jar. So that's it for my force, and we're going to be facing off again against the Great Flying Taco. His main army is going to be Men-at-Arms and Chaff, which is pretty much standard stuff. Most Bretonnian armies against the High Elves are going to be, sometimes you see Foot Squires mixed in, but it's tough because even if you get Foot Squires, they're just going to kind of get beaten in terms of cost by the White Lion. So I think this is the right way to play. Just, peasant mobs for days. It looks like he has a massive core of peasant mobs. 4 or 5 groups of the standard Men-at-Arms, which can hold their own. I mean, their combat stats aren't terrible, but yes, they will lose. But where you really shine in this matchup is using the heavy cav, because Grail Knights can really just, deal very efficient with the Dragon Princes, so I feel like it's a little bit tough to go Dragon Princes. You can go that way if you're using the Pigeon Lady because of all the heals, but even still, the Bretonnia Knights really do well here. So Grail Knights, Knights of the Realm, and the same combination over there. And up in the skies, he actually has Royal Hippogriff Knights, King Lewin, and of course a Damsel with the Lore of Life, which is pretty much a must if you're going to have this many expensive cav units. So I think let's get the show on the road. Let's have some fun. So the forces of Bretonnia going to be moving over here, and I did have some line of sight issues with the trees on this map, so you can see I'm doing a bit of a rotation here, trying to get these bolt throwers a little bit more of an optimal kind of angle of fire here. So King Lewin, in the meantime, is going to be advancing with the Hippogriff Knights, looking for some juicy targets right here, maybe seeing if he can get some free picks on the Reavers, but for now I'm pretty safe. In the meantime, trying to get these Reavers up and around, see if I can get some free charges on the Peasants, but Flying Taco doing a very good job here with the Grail Knights and the Knights of Realm, kind of screening me out, taking away the freebies there. So the White Line's going to be squaring up. Teclis is going to be looking to get some nets very, very early on in this battle. Do a little bit of a fast forwarding as both of us posture up here, but in the meantime, getting some decent fire downtown. So we're shooting the bolt throwers over here at the Royal Hippogriff Knights, and it's a pretty good, tool against them. They are a very large target, and if we can pick off those models, it could be quite good. So right here, I'm going to be dropping a Nets of Amnichok, a little bit premature, but I was like, let's drop this, see if we can get the bolt thrower fire, just concentrating, doing a ton of damage, and also maybe get some volleys from the Sisters of Avalorn. So we're getting some pretty good fire. Not the best, though. I mean, the nets are about halfway gone, and we haven't killed a model, but well, a very good regrowth right there. So it looks like Flying Taco was able to get the regrowth. We're going to be scoring up the White Lines to intercept the charges of these Grail Knights, which isn't the most optimal situation, but the Spearmen, everyone's going to be kind of getting here, and you can see I'm setting up a bit of a multi-layered defense. So the Knights are going to be coming in, charging into the Reavers. King Lewin is going to be doing a rear charge from the White Lines, and these guys just get destroyed. So I do get a little bit of a charge into the cab, but for the most part, they're going to have a bad time because of King Lewin mainly. The Reavers do intercept the charge here from the Grail Knights, which is a pretty huge mismatch. But basically, I just wanted to occupy them, use the chaff, use the spears to kind of hold them in place, and allow my missile units to really just tear into them. But you can see the bolt throwers, they've been shooting pretty much nonstop for the past 30-40 seconds into the bolt throwers or into the Royal Hippogriff Knights, but they really haven't done too much. So I feel like it's been a bit of a failure in that respect. But over here, we're able to get some really good damage against the Knights of the Realm using the White Lines and some of the Archer Fire and this other group of the bolt throwers. So things went pretty well on this side of the battlefield. Now, the White Lines are going to be jumping into the front line to monster mash some of the peasants there, so that should be very fun. And I do also get a very big overcasted net of Amnichok, I believe, using that on the Royal Hippogriff Knights, or maybe it was on some of the cav here. I can't quite remember. But nonetheless, we do have a pit fight. And I wasn't upset about this because I did have the Spearmen. The Spearmen are doing a very good job tearing down the Knights of the Realm, but the Royal Hippogriff Knights are just kind of running rampant, and you can see over here my Reavers and some of my supporting units are having some problems. And again, like I said, I don't know if I have enough to defend the back line, but the bounce fire is pretty even right now. The flank battles are going okay. Reavers are cleaning up some of the peasants. White Lines in a very cost-effective situation, holding back 3 or 4 groups of infantry. Granted, they probably cost about the same as the White Lines. And a very good hammering charge coming in from the Grail Knights. So they get a beautiful charge in my White Lines, but the White Lines, like I said, very, very good here. They're able to actually hold back the Knights of the Realm and get some very, very good kills. But for the most part, the Bretonnian cav are now in the back line, and things are getting a little bit messy. So I do pop Enfeebling Foe, hoping my Spears can catch up and my Reavers can get that rear charge. So the Spears have been pulled off of the defense of the Eagle Claw Bolt Thrower, and now they're going to be jumping in here, trying to hold these guys down. And it's getting a little bit wild. Over here, another cav charge coming in. The Grail Knights in that juicy lance formation. Beautiful stuff from these just badass Bretonnian Knights. Look at these guys getting in here. But the White Lines getting buttered up pretty bad, and they're probably going to be crumbling there in a moment. Not crumbling, but I guess metaphorically, but they're going to be breaking in a moment, I would imagine. Spearmen here are going to be defending the Bolt Thrower against the vile tides of peasants, but now the Bretonnian Knights kind of have that free range in the backfield. The Sisters were able to get away from this fight, and we did do some decent wear and tear on the Royal Hippogriff Knights, but for some reason, we haven't been able to kill a model yet, which is very tough. Therefore, if they are able to get some heals, they're going to be very cost effective. Now, the bounce power is shifting in the favor of the Bretonnians right now. Over on the flanks and peasants coming back. These White Lines just absolute beasts. 66 kills, but they've been able to hold back a big tide. And these White Lines in the front doing very, very good. 143 kills. They were able to just massacre these Knights of the Realm and kill the infantry that were supporting them. But for the most part, it's been very, very tough to kind of control the massive amounts of Bretonnian Knights. I was hoping that the bolt throwers would do a little bit more damage because we were stable for quite some time, but as the game kind of progresses and gets a little bit more hairy here, we just had trouble protecting our back line, and we didn't do enough damage early on with our missiles against these Royal Hippogriff Knights to really take those guys out. But nonetheless, we still have a decent core of infantry. We have the White Lines, we do have these Sisters still going here, we have a couple Spearmen. We are going to be able to free up this Eagle Claw Bolt Thrower in just a second. And Teclis is in okay shape. He does have the Potion of Koroi, so if he does need to, he can heal. And it looks like there's a big angry fire pigeon coming down from Teclis, which is the fiery convocation. But very good play from Flying Taco, using King Lewin to jump over here and actually break the White Lines, which were holding this flank. So he comes in, he terror routes them, which then opens the floodgate. So the Peasant Tide is coming. The Peasant Tide is angry, they are ferocious, and they're going to be pushing into the back line here. Sisters are still online. I've been able to kind of layer them and pull them back and get in position again. But for the most part, the Bretonnian hordes are coming in pretty hot and heavy. And I mean, they did take some damage on the Knights of the Realm and the Grail Knights, but most of them are pretty healthy. He still has 6 of the Royal Hippogriff Knights, who we've done about 55% damage to, but they've been able to come back. And at this point, the Bretonnians are just going to be just cleaving through the line. And, you know, I try my best to claw my way back to this game, but there's just too much. There's too many peasants. They're everywhere. They're just coming in. King Lewin is going to be going after Teclis, and it's only a matter of time before he buckles. So very well played to Flying Taco. You know, he had a very good, you know, solid Bretonnian versus high elf build. He played very well. His cycle charging with the Knights was impeccable. Very, very good stuff. And yeah, it was a very good build. I loved it. So I was able to answer my own question about this experimental build, and it was tough to protect. I think the archers were a wasted investment. They did some okay damage against some of the cav units, and you know, I guess they were a bit of a distraction, but yeah, I just think just going with White Lions and just kind of more dedicated anti-large and making it more of like kind of a porcupine style of play. And I think if you are going to be going with missiles, I think these Sisters of Avalorn are going to be much better, because 3 or 4 groups of them focus firing a Grail Knight with like a net on it is going to just melt those guys super quick. But yeah, it was a fun build for sure. I didn't like the bolt throwers actually. Maybe just getting one is kind of a bit of a distraction in the back, but even still, I didn't feel it. When I do play Dark Elves against them, I do like the Reaper bolt throwers. You use those with like Dread Spears and a couple other, repeater crossbows. Of course, give you that really good AP against a heavy cav. But yeah, in this case, I don't think that they did a really good job. Or maybe my micro with them was just poor. Who knows? But very well played to Flying Taco. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this 2-for-1 series. And guys, we will be back with more videos soon. Have an excellent night, guys, and take care.